You're listening to Roundtable Sports Talk, bringing you the latest, hottest, and up-to-date sports news across the world, with your hosts, Austin, Brett, and JP.
Welcome back to episode 12 of the Roundtable Sports Talk podcast, where we cover every major sport and all the recent news. I'm your host, Brett. You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, Stitcher, and you can catch us every day, 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. on the Leap Sports Network. Welcome back. It's been about 2 weeks since we released another podcast. Obviously, we were in the middle of Hurricane Irma. And then last week was kind of rough to get a podcast in, but we're back. We got a lot to cover. 2 weeks of NFL. We're going to cover some college football, boxing, and we got some other NBA news as well. So let's get right to it. Week 1 started off with Kansas City and New England. Kansas City looked really good. They beat New England 42-17. Alex Smith looked incredible, 360 yards and 4 touchdowns. The rookie Kareem Hunt rushed for 148 yards and touchdown and caught almost 100 receiving yards and caught 2 touchdowns as well. Then we got into Sunday. The Jets played Buffalo. Jets lost 12-21. Atlanta played Chicago. Atlanta won 23-17. Baltimore played Cincy, completely demolished Cincinnati 20-0. Andy Dalton looked terrible, 107 yards and 4 interceptions. And then we moved on to Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Pittsburgh won 21-18. Antonio Brown caught over 182 reception yards, no touchdowns. Le'Veon Bell looked rusty, didn't do very well. Move on to Arizona, Detroit. Arizona lost 23-35. Oakland played Tennessee. Oakland won 26-16. Jacksonville played Houston. Jax looked pretty good against Houston at home. Won 29-7. Fournette had over 100 rushing yards and a touchdown. They ended up benching Savage after the halftime and put the rookie Watson in. I was kind of excited. Watson looked pretty well. Then we move on. Indianapolis played the Rams. Lost 9-46. Indy looking completely terrible. Seattle played Green Bay. Seattle lost 9-17. Carolina played San Francisco. Completely demolished the 49ers 23-3. Cam Newton still looks pretty rusty. Then we move on to Giants and Dallas. Giants lost 3-19. Zeke had 24 carries and 104 yards. Odell actually sat that game. And then the Tampa-Miami game was postponed due to the Irma aftermath. We move on to Monday Night Football. New Orleans played Minnesota. New Orleans ended up losing 19-29. AP only played four plays. That was very weird, and it actually sparked up. He did not sign up for 4 plays. He was hoping to be the dominant. And then San Diego played Denver. San Diego lost 21-24 in a close game. Last week, Thursday Night Football was Houston and Cincy. They started Deshaun Watson over Savage. The final score was 13-9. No touchdowns from Cincy. It was only field goals. The next day, they actually fired their offensive coordinator, which is probably a good thing. So we move on. Arizona played Indianapolis. Arizona won by a field goal, 16-13. Still no Andrew Luck. He actually is sitting out for week 3 as well. Their starting quarterback, they put in Jacoby Brissett, who they picked up from New England. And then we move on. Philly played Kansas City in a closely matched game, 20-27. New England played New Orleans. New England bounced back from the week before, completely destroyed New Orleans, 36-20. Tom had over 447 yards and 3 touchdowns. He threw 2 of those touchdowns in the first quarter, which was exciting. Minnesota played Pittsburgh, Minnesota lost 9-26. Le'Veon Bell looked better than he did in Week 1. And Martavis Bryant caught 97 yards and caught a touchdown pass. Chicago played Tampa Bay. Chicago got destroyed by Tampa Bay's defense. They lost 7-29. Buffalo played Carolina in a low-scoring game. Carolina won 9-3. And they lost Olsen to a broken foot in the second quarter. So that's a big loss for them. They're not going to have to rely on Kelvin Benjamin and the rest of the receptions to pick up Olsen's production. Tennessee completely destroyed Jacksonville, 37-16. They actually picked up a quarterback a day or two ago. They picked up Ryan Nassib, who was cut by the Saints just before the preseason started. But they've came out and said there's no competition, and Blake Bortles is still going to be their starting quarterback. But they need to figure out something because Jacksonville's back to normal of losing tons of games. Cleveland played Baltimore. Baltimore won 24-10. The Jets played Oakland. Oakland won 45-20. Marshawn got his first TD as a Raider. Crabtree caught over 3 touchdowns and 80 yards. Jets suck anyway, so. Miami played the Chargers. Miami won by 2, 19-17. Dallas played Denver. Dallas looked terrible against Denver. Their defense was all over them. 17-42. Zeke only had 8 rushing yards. He looked like he gave up, and I didn't see no effort at all from him. There's been talks about the head coach is going to approach Zeke and figure out what was going on and why he showed no effort. To me, he should have just took his 6 games this season, because with that effort, I mean, you're going to end up getting benched, so you're sitting anyways. The Redskins played the Rams. Redskins won 27-20 in a last-minute TD. 49ers played Seattle. 49ers lost 9-12. And then we move on to Sunday night football. Green Bay played Atlanta at home with Atlanta's first game in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Green Bay lost 23-34. They were getting destroyed at the half. Atlanta's looking strong. I think you could see them going back to the Super Bowl this year. But they did lose Vic Beasley for a month with a hamstring injury, so that could be a big loss for them, but I don't see them getting affected that bad. And then last night's Monday night game was Detroit and the Giants. The Giants struggled badly. Detroit won 24-10. There's been talks about Eli's delay of game on the 4th and goal, and that he said that was a poor play, and they should end up getting the ball off the clock, especially with a veteran quarterback. But I don't see that affecting Eli. I don't think he's going to get benched for that. OBJ did play though, but he was on a snap count, so hopefully we get to see more of him. All right, that is all the NFL news I have for you guys. Week 3 starting in 2 days. Another crappy Thursday night game. That Thursday night matchup is the Rams and 49ers, which kind of a crappy game. We've been getting a lot of crappy Thursday night games, but whatever that case is. Moving on, let's go into some NBA. A couple of signings here. Andrew Bogut is going to the Lakers for 1 year, $2.3 million, which is a veteran's minimum. I see him playing off the bench in that one. And then Mason Plumlee returns to the Nuggets for 3 years and $41 million. They got a pretty good looking front court with Joseph Nurkic and Kenneth Faried. The big story is Kyrie Irving went on First Take yesterday, and they were talking to him about his trade request and moving to Boston and all that. Some key points out of that. His came out saying his decision had nothing to do with LeBron. He stated that multiple times in this interview. And his decision was based on his happiness, which, it's your career, your life. You do what you want to do for your career, and basically no one else matters in that. And he also stated he is ecstatic to play with Boston. His decision to move, he wants to fulfill his goal, which is he wants to be a complete point guard on a great team. He strictly wants to play point guard. Another question that came up in this interview was, should he have told LeBron, and does LeBron owe an explanation? Coming from him, it says it was nothing personal against the organization or him, or a matter of fact, if any player. And he can do whatever he wants to do with his career and his life, and it doesn't matter to anybody else but him. Another question that came up was, how good will Boston be? I see them getting the number 1 seed again, and I see Boston competing in the playoffs, and I think they could take down the Cavs this year and move on to the finals. He said he was definitely hurt that his request was leaked while he was on his China trip. And he said the majority of the reports that came out had nothing but lies in them and very little truth, which he was very upset about. But I think there was more to it. But he doesn't have to say anything if he doesn't want to. And then another question came up in this interview, and can he win without LeBron? End quote, absolutely, but time will tell. Which, it's a new offense, new team, different way of playing basketball, so like he said, time will tell. Another NBA news, the Nike revealed their new jerseys, which they took over Adidas for the players' jerseys, and the away jerseys look pretty good. I think Nike did a really good job on that. So that's pretty cool. That's all the NBA news I have for you guys. Last Saturday, college football. Over a couple games I watched, Clemson rolled past Louisville 47-21. But Lamar Jackson still had 320 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I think he still is in first place of the Heisman trophy. So we'll see about that. He looks like a younger Mike Vick to me. He can sling the ball with his left hand, and he can run with the ball as well. But it didn't help Louisville at all. Another game I watched was I caught the end of the Florida-Tennessee game at mid-fourth quarter. Florida stunned Tennessee with a 63-yard touchdown to Kyrie Cleveland with 7 seconds, which I had a problem with that because they still had 35 seconds left, and I figured they were just going to run it down the field and kick a field goal to tie it, or to win it. And I saw them snap the ball, and this rookie quarterback, he was taking way too much time off the clock. I'm like, oh my God, there's no way they're going to win this game, and they were just going to play in overtime, but actually got out of a little tight spot, got out of the pocket, and he slung it, and I tell you, it was a pretty pass, and that the wide receiver burnt that cornerback, so that was interesting to see. Also on Saturday night, big boxing match, bigger than McGregor and Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez and Triple G. It was a good fight, way better fight than the Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fight, and went all the way to 12 rounds and ended up becoming a draw, which stirred up some serious drama with the one judge's scorecard saying Alvarez won 10 out of the 12, which even Alvarez came out saying that he didn't even think he won 10 rounds. But it ended up going down as a draw. I believe you'll see a rematch because I don't think that fight should have ended in a draw. But Triple G retained his title. Triple G connected with 218 punches out of 703, which ended up being 31%. And Alvarez only landed 169 punches out of 505. So he threw less punches, but his percentage was higher. But like I said, the scoring was very bad. And there's also been controversies of people wanting refunds of that fight because the way that fight ended, it definitely shouldn't have ended that way. let's move on to MLB. I don't have a lot for you guys, but we're getting closer to wild card and divisional series on both conferences. Giancarlo Stanton hit his 55th home run last night, and still in track of 61. And he still has 17 games left, and I think he can crush that 61 record, and I think he can hit about 63, 64. So we'll see about that. Kershaw ended up giving his first career Grand Slam loss as they lose to the Phillies, which was a big loss. But I'm still sticking with my my picks. On our last podcast, I had the Boston Red Sox winning the AL East. I have the Indians winning the AL Central, and I have the Astros winning the AL West. In that, I have the Indians beating out the Boston Red Sox, going to the World Series. In the NL, I'm still sticking with Nationals. I don't think the Marlins have a chance of catching that first place spot in the NL East. I still have the Cubs winning the NL Central by a long shot. I don't think the Brewers are going to catch up to them, and I still have the Dodgers winning the AL West, which the Dodgers are still pretty bad, but I still have them winning. I have the Cubs beating out the Dodgers to go to the World Series, and I'm still sticking with the Indians winning the World Series. Like I said, it's coming. The playoffs are coming up quick. So that's all I have for you guys. Hopefully I can come back next week, get you guys another show. Like I said, you can follow our show, subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, Stitcher. You can catch us every day, 7 p.m., 9 p.m. on the Leap Sports Network. Follow us on Twitter at RT_Sports Talk. Follow us Facebook.com/RT Sports Talk. Get at me, give me some feedback, see how we're doing. Last weekend we played a little NFL football pool. I ended up losing to Austin with the Denver Dallas. I had Dallas winning, but like I said, Denver completely demolished Dallas, and I lost it at that point. We're gonna get another football pool this week, so hopefully I can get a rematch and hopefully I can win that. Austin and JP will be back with us soon, hopefully within the next couple shows. So stay tuned in, subscribe to us. Subscribe to us, you get the latest episode as soon as it comes out. Like I said, hopefully I'll be back with you guys next week. Thank you very much.
That's this week's episode of Roundtable Sports Talk Podcast with your hosts, Austin, Brett, and JP. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Roundtable Sports Talk. Thank you for listening.